Good evening and welcome to our first time lay member annual conference orientation session. I'm John Crane and I am your conference lay leader here in the Western North Carolina Conference. I bring you greetings on behalf of our Board of Laity, and we're very excited that you will be attending annual conference this year. This evening, I am also pleased to have some other colleagues who will be helping me with our facilitation and helping to answer questions. We have Reverend Kim Ingram, who is our conference secretary and our director of ministerial services. We have Ms. Kim Eller. Kim is the Northern Piedmont District lay leader. And then we also have Caroline Wood. Caroline is the district vitality associate for the Catawba Valley District, and also serves as our conference staff liaison for Laity Ministries. And she will be helping us monitor our chat and handling some behind the scenes issues for us relative to keeping things on track with the Zoom call this evening. So we are going to go through some information that is something that you likely may have seen before, but you will particularly have seen some of this before if you've had a chance to visit our annual conference 2023 website. We're going to be talking about what is annual conference, how do you prepare, where do you go when you get there, what are we going to do, and then what do I really know? We say, what do you need to know to survive? It can be a long couple of days and it's a lot of new information. And so Kim Eller is going to share some information on some tips and hints that will help you prepare to make the most of our time together. So let's talk first about what is annual conference. So an annual conference meeting is the yearly meeting where our clergy and our laity meet together to handle the business of the church. That can be things like receiving reports and related to the missions and the ministries of the conference, commissioning and ordaining our clergy, approving our conference budget, approving the nominations of clergy and laypersons to serve on various conference committees, and voting on petitions. Petitions can be things where either groups or individuals have brought before us, before the annual conference, something that they think either speaks to the operations of our conference, or sometimes it's related to a social, economic, or theological topic where the petitioner thinks that our annual conference needs to express a particular opinion about that. All of the elders, deacons, and local pastors attend annual conference, along with an equal number of laypersons. Each church is allowed one lay member for each clergy person that's appointed to their church. So if you have a senior pastor, and then maybe you have a deacon who is serving in a director of Christian education role, you have two clergy appointed, your church will have the opportunity to have two lay representatives, two lay members there as well. The other thing that we do, because we have more clergy than we have lay representatives, is that we go through a process then of adding in individuals to either represent a district or to represent the conference at large, so that we're able to equalize the number. And so that's why we have some folks who are attending conference as a representative for their local church or charge, and we have others who are there as representatives of a district or representatives for the conference. I wanted to take just a moment, though, to make sure that we understand there's a difference between when we say what is annual conference versus what is an annual conference, because it can be confusing if you're not familiar with the language. An annual conference is also the name that we give to the regional organizational units that comprise the United Methodist Church. So we are the Western North Carolina Conference, or the Western North Carolina Annual Conference. You can see there on the left that our structure is we have general conference, which represents the whole church, United States and outside the United States. Here in the United States, we have jurisdictional conferences. So the country is broken into 5 different jurisdictions, and we're part of what's called the Southeastern jurisdiction. And then you'll have annual conferences. So you can see well, you can't see, there's 54 annual conferences across all of the United States. I think there's about 75 annual conferences outside of the United States. Here in our Southeastern jurisdiction, we have 14 annual conferences that make up our Southeastern jurisdiction. And then, as you are probably more familiar with, then our annual conference is divided into districts. We have 8 districts here in the Western North Carolina Conference, and then the districts are composed of our local churches. So it can be a little confusing sometimes because we use the same language to talk about an annual meeting of lay members and clergy members who make up our annual conference. But we also, you'll hear the name being referred to in reference to these organizational groups, like, for example, here we're the Western North Carolina Conference. You can see there is a North Carolina Conference that we kind of split the state in half. And then you can see some of the other names that are part of our Southeastern jurisdiction as well. So in terms of preparing yourself for annual conference, the primary tool that you're going to want to use is our annual conference website. You can go to www.ac2023.org, and there is a ton of information there. Most everything we're sharing with you this evening, you'll be able to find on that website. There is a link to a variety of pre-conference videos, some that you can see from the bishop. I have a recording out there from the Board of Laity. There's other updates about our conference, from our conference treasurer about the budget. There's information out there from our Director of Equity and Justice Ministries, and a variety of other areas that we would ask you to listen to before you come to the meeting at Lake Junaluska, to give you additional context that'll help you. You also will find there a section around resource materials, and there's 4 main things that you'll find in that section. First is a program and resource booklet. That has all of the logistics for the meeting, but it also has all of the written reports that various committees have turned in, so that you can read those and have that information available with you. We also, this year, will be doing laity elections for representatives to the Southeastern Jurisdiction Conference. Kim Ingram is going to speak more about that, but there is a booklet out there where each person who has agreed to stand for election has submitted a profile of themselves. And we also recently put out there a Zoom recording we did of some of those candidates who were available to attend with us, where they're also taking about 2 minutes each to introduce themselves to you. So we recommend you do that as well, and you view that as well. And then there's 2 other things. One is an annual conference supplement, which has information that contains the things that we'll be voting on, and then a worship book. There's a variety of worship services that take place. There's information about retiring clergy and clergy who have passed away. And those materials are not, I don't think they're yet posted. Kim, you can remind me if they will be by the time we get there. But I would also let you know that the annual conference supplement and the worship book, you will receive a printed copy of those when you show up for registration. So don't feel like you have to print those out. And frankly, you don't have to print out the other materials. If you have a laptop, an iPad, just want to download them to your phone, you can do that as well. But we will not have printed copies of the resource booklet or the lay elections candidate book at annual conference for you. So if you'd like to have a paper version of that, make sure you print it out before you come. Now, when you arrive at Lake Junaluska, where you're going to go and what you're going to want to do first is going to depend on whether you have made arrangements to stay on campus, have housing on campus at Lake Junaluska, or whether you are staying off campus, either at a local hotel or maybe you're close enough to drive there and those kind of things. So if you're checking in for lodging at Lake Junaluska, then you're going to go to the Bethea Welcome Center. If you don't need to check in for lodging, then you can go directly to the Terrace Hotel, to the 3rd floor auditorium. Now, this is a map of, and you may not be able to see it very well in our Zoom call, but this same material is available on our conference website. You can also find it at Lake Junaluska's website. You can see here what we're off of where it says Highway 19. That's kind of the main entrance into Lake Junaluska. And so there's 2 areas where we're going to spend most of our time. The area there to the left is around, that's where the Bethea Welcome Center is. And you can see kind of to the, if you look just above or around where box number 1 is, that's a field. There's a big field there, and you may have to park there. They have shuttle buses. Kim's going to talk more about some of these things, but that's an area where you can find some parking. And then at the top of the page, the area around the Terrace Hotel is where, and across the street from it at Stewart Auditorium is where all of the business of annual conference will take place. So again, if you're staying at Lake Junaluska, make the Bethea Welcome Center your first stop. On our map here, it's showing as box number 3. We put a picture on it there. Right after you turn in off of Highway 19, it's on your immediate left, and it's well marked with signs, and you'll be able to see that. That's where you'll go in. They'll check you in for your room, deal with the payment process, give you your room keys. Don't go to the hotel to get your room key, because all the room keys are at the Bethea Welcome Center. At the end of your stay, you're going to be able to turn in your key at the front desk of your hotel, but you have to stop at the Bethea Welcome Center if you're staying on campus. And then if you're not staying on campus, or once you've checked in, then you're going to want to go to the Terrace Hotel. So there's signs, they'll be able to direct you on how to get there. The Terrace Hotel has a auditorium space on the 3rd floor. You can see it's kind of built into the side of a mountain. So at ground, it actually has like ground level, and then 1st floor, 2nd, 3rd floor, 3rd floor, right? So it can be a little tricky if you've never been to that hotel before because of the way the elevators work, but there'll be plenty of other folks there that you'll see going in and out that'll be able to help you. Just know that where you're going to want to end up is on the 3rd floor in the auditorium. And then all of the business sessions and all of the worship services that take place during annual conference are held in Stewart Auditorium. This is a historic building. It's where everything, the summer worship series take place. It's where the Lake Junaluska singers used to sing. There are a variety of other great facilities there, but this is the only one that's big enough to hold 2,000 people at one time. So all of our business and all of our worship services will take place at Stewart Auditorium. It is located basically across the street from the Terrace Hotel, but there, again, you'll see plenty of signage and people to direct you. So let's talk a little bit about this concept of registration. Sometimes individuals think there's something that they need to have done before they show up, and there's not. The only thing you needed to take care of was if you're going to stay there on the grounds. There was a cutoff date for folks to sign up for that, and for meals and some other kinds of things. But in terms of just registering in terms of like pre-enrolling before you show up. There's nothing for you to do. Your name and whether or not you're serving as a representative of your local church or the district or the conference, all that information has already been provided to Kim Ingram's office, so they know that you're coming. When we talk about registering for annual conference, we're talking about going through the process of registering your presence. So we need to have a record of everyone who showed up. So we ask you to come in and basically sign in, and then you're going to receive some materials there as well. When you get to the Terrace Auditorium, what you're going to see on the right-hand side of the room is 8 different tables based on the districts. And so regardless of whether you are there as a local church representative or someone who is representing a district or the conference, go to the table that is the district where your home church is. And they will be able to, they have a roster of everyone who's coming. They'll be able to check you off the list, have you sign in. They'll give you your name tag, and the printed materials that we talked about. And then there's also just, great members of Kim's staff there and other volunteers who will be glad to answer any additional questions that you may have. Now, annual conference actually begins for our clergy on Thursday instead of on Friday. The first session to which laity need to be there is on Friday, but because it does we do have clergy who have to be there on Thursday. Registration is open on Thursday. So if you happen to be arriving on Thursday, you can go ahead and go to registration. That's fine. You see the hours there, 10:30 to 6 on Thursday, and then 8:30 to 4 on Friday. If for some reason you can't get there before 4 p.m. on Friday and you show up after that, when you just go to Stewart Auditorium, and there is at the entrance place to Stewart Auditorium is an usher's desk. They always have staff there, and you would be able to pick up your materials, your name tag and things at that point as well. So now I want to turn it over to Kim Ingram, and she's going to talk with us about how we conduct our business sessions and about our laity election process. Kim?
Good evening, friends. It is good to be with you tonight, and I want to talk just a minute about what you can expect in the business sessions. The business sessions, so John mentioned that laity will arrive, and laity and clergy and guests and anyone will worship together on Friday morning for our opening worship service. And then our opening business session will happen after the lunch break on Friday, starting at 1:30. And when you look at the schedule, well, and as John mentioned, all the business sessions are held in Stewart Auditorium. In particular years, there is designated seating, and the laity have to sit in certain sections, and the clergy have to sit in certain sections. But that is not true this year. So you can sit wherever you like. Some people like sitting near the window. Some people like sitting in the middle. As you have come and go a little bit, you'll determine what your favorite part of the auditorium to sit in might be. And you'll see the full schedule. We have both the annual conference schedule and the special events schedule that are in the program and reports book and are in the supplement and are just posted as individual links on the annual conference webpage. But for the annual conference schedule that starts on Friday afternoon, I'll just kind of give you a highlight of how it works and go through it. On Friday afternoon, we do a lot of opening business kinds of things. Now we will sing "And Are We Yet Alive?" That is tradition for most annual conferences as you open an annual conference meeting. So I just tell you that because we won't say that when the time comes, but the people who come year after year expect that we're going to open conference with that particular hymn. And then you'll see we do a lot of the organizational business. It's listed in the schedule. I won't tell you what it is, but every year we have to do the same kind of opening business. And as soon as we've done that opening business, we'll then begin to do the lay delegate elections. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then we try to give you a break at least every hour and a half, not usually probably as much as 2 hours. And then on Friday afternoon, we have a special guest coming, Dr. Martin Atkins, who will do a Bible study before we do the retirement service of clergy, the last thing in the schedule on Friday afternoon. And then I do want to highlight, and John may do this also, but some of the staff have really been working hard to plan our Friday night fun. Last year, we did that for the first time. It's called Connected AC, and there are a lot of different opportunities available on Friday night. We have some food options, so you can stay on campus, eat dinner, and then get to know some new people and have some fun together on Friday night. We just realized that church life and COVID life and life in general has been kind of hard in the last few years, and wanted to have some time at annual conference where people could just be laid back, enjoy time together, and enjoy being at the lake. So that's scheduled for Friday night. And then when you look at Saturday, another thing that is annually the case is we always have the meeting of the Western North Carolina Foundation. And that is really a separate meeting, but the annual conference body and the membership of the foundation are the same group of people. So they adjourn a meeting and it lasts about 15 minutes and we do a little bit of business. I mean, they convene it and then they adjourn it and then we go back into the annual conference meeting session. So that's how we start Saturday. Primary business on Saturday morning will be report from the Council on Finance and Administration and the approval of the 2024 budget. And then after that, we will hear the report from the pension and health folks and approve their petitions or their what they submit every year. What you will find, I hope, what you will experience, especially as we came out of COVID, we ask ourselves the question, what makes it worth lay and clergy members showing up at annual conference versus being able to do it in an hour, which is kind of what we did during COVID by Zoom. And so we've worked really hard to make it feel like it's worth your time and your resources and your energy to come to Lake Junaluska and conference with one another and do business and pleasure as part of what we do. And so part of that includes celebrating ministry, and you'll see some places and ways that we'll do that together. Also, we'll have Laity do the opening prayer for each of the business sessions on Saturday. We will worship together with a celebration of life service on Saturday morning and the ordering of ministry service on Saturday night. We will continue the lay delegate elections and do a little bit of other business on Saturday afternoon. So we try to not do business that you can read about in a report. We try to really keep in front of us the things that need some feedback, interaction, that kind of thing. And then the other thing that I want to mention are the petitions, and that's what you see kind of all these bullet points about. So there will be a variety of things we vote on, including ad interim nominations and the organization of rules. Usually when we vote by hand. Only if it's close will we do a standing vote. And then we train the ushers and they'll say, stand if you agree or whatever it is. And then you sit down and the other group stands and we count. We have not had to do written ballots. In the 15 years that I've been in this job, I don't remember that we've had to do a written ballot, but we do come prepared to do that. So just so you know, we are kind of prepared for as many different scenarios as we can think of for annual conference. So there are 8 petitions. Well, so there are 21 petitions that you'll see in the program and reports book and in the supplement. Petition 1 is the finances, and petition 2 is pension and health. And then petition 3 through 13 are on the consent calendar. And in the opening business, we will look at the consent calendar. Those are generally just members of boards and agencies that we have to approve according to their rules, or campus ministry boards or that kind of thing. So we do those on a consent calendar all at one time. But then on Saturday, we schedule the petitions that have come in from lay and clergy members or groups of people that were submitted by the April 1st deadline. It's really important that you've read through those petitions before you come so that you are familiar with the content of them and you're familiar. And a lot of them will say, whereas. Like my kind of insider suggestion is, or just so you know, the whereases are information. It's when you get down to the bottom where it says resolved, that's what they're asking the conference to do. So the whereases are just stating the case. for the resolves, which is what they want the conference to make a decision about. And so we have those scheduled on Saturday, but we don't have to vote on them. There's nothing in the rules that say we have to extend our time or we have to include them in a particular way on the calendar. That will be up to the bishop. So the bishop will help calendar and pull them to the table. You can have 3 people speak in favor and against a petition. Sometimes amendments are made from the floor. Sometimes that can get a little bit confusing. And at the end, we'll try to just tell you, the bishop will say, okay, now this is what we're voting on, and make it clear at that way. And oh, the other thing I want to mention, John references the rules here in both the supplement and the program and reports book. You'll see what is called the organization and rules for the conference. We do use Robert's Rules of Order. And then we have sort of a summary of the rules in the second section of that. So I would suggest you read through that as well, just so you have an idea of if you haven't used Robert's Rules of Order a lot, it'll give you kind of the idea of how that works, and gives you some more information about the structure and organization of the conference. So I probably told you way more than John intended for me to, but we'll go to the next slide now. So one of the things we're going to do this year is elect 3 lay delegates to the Southeastern Jurisdictional Conference. So in 2019, we elected as an annual conference 20 laity and 20 clergy that are considered the delegates from Western North Carolina to the General Conference and the Jurisdictional Conference of the United Methodist Church. We elected them in 2019, and those meetings were supposed to happen in 2020. And actually, we'd be doing a whole different set of elections this year if that had all gone as planned. But most of you probably heard those didn't go as planned. We did have a jurisdictional conference last year, but we never had the general conference. So now in 2024, we have both of those meetings scheduled again. And everybody elected in 2019 are still the delegates for 2023. But we've had some resignations of laity from the delegation. And so we are replacing the 3 laity that we have in the 20 laity. They will only be delegates to jurisdictional conference. And we've had 20 laity offer themselves, specifically saying, I would love to serve, I'm willing to serve, and it would be great if you would choose me. And you'll find information about those folks, both, and John already referenced this, there's a bio form on everybody, or a bio statement on everybody. And those that were available when we did the recording are part of the Zoom. Those things are both on the annual conference webpage. You'll see in the left-hand column, laity delegate elections, and you can click on that and find all of this. We will start voting on Friday, and we'll keep voting as we're able to. We have a company that's coming in. They run the elections for us as we're able to intersperse with business until we have 3 people elected. It's a simple majority to be elected. This year, for the first time, that we are asking lay delegates to bring a device with you. So if you have a smartphone, that'll be the easiest thing probably for you to do. But bring a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop computer. If you don't have access to any of those 3 things, we really encourage you to have a conversation with your pastor and see if your pastor can sit next to you and you can utilize their device in order to do the elections when we get to that part of it. We did do this at jurisdictional conference last year, and it worked well. So we know that it can work in Stewart Auditorium with people using their own devices. And then finally, what I'll say is there also will be the opportunity for a write-in ballot. So of the 20 people, any layperson, and I don't have this pulled up in front of me, but you have to have been a member of the United Methodist Church for 4 years, I think, and then leadership for 2 or something. Any layperson that meets the qualifications can be elected to be our representative of the jurisdictional conference. But you have to get 20 write-in votes to get your name on the ballot and get a number assigned. 25. I don't know what I just said, 25. So if you want a write-in ballot, we'll instruct you to do this, but you'll raise your hand. The usher will bring you a write-in ballot. You'll lay your device aside. You'll write your choices down on the piece of paper, and then we'll have to calculate those in as we do figure out what the ballot was for that time. Yeah, and the last thing that is on the slide is we just don't normally do elections during worship. So just so you're aware, we do those during the business sessions, but we don't normally do that as part of a worship service. So I think that's it, John, for that. If you do questions at the end, I'll be glad to answer any.
Thank you so much, Kim. So we mentioned it a couple of times. I wanted to just call out for you specifically that there are things that are taking place outside of the business sessions. Kim mentioned we have our opening worship Friday morning at 10:30. And Kim, are we doing Holy Communion at that service?
We will, and this year we're doing it where you'll get the bread and the juice in a cup when you enter the auditorium.
So the opening worship will involve communion, and we recognize that people have different commitments, and sometimes individuals can't get off early enough to be there, those kind of things. So we hope that you will be able to be there. We're sure that you'll be blessed if you are able to be there. But as Kim said, the kind of business sessions for our annual conference do not begin until after lunch. We do have a celebration of life service Saturday at 11 a.m. and then an ordering of ministry service Saturday evening. And then closing worship takes place Sunday at 10 a.m. The closing worship for our annual conference is also open to the broader Lake Junaluska community. So individuals who just happen to be staying at Lake Junaluska or who live there, they also will come to that. Kim has already mentioned the Bible study that's taking place. And then the connected annual conference, a variety of different kind of fun activities that are taking place. Those range from a bluegrass band that's going to be in there to some, there'll be food trucks and some other things. I think there's a yoga session taking place. Somebody's playing Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of stuff going on. So all of that information is available again on the conference, annual conference 2023.org website. And we also recognize that while we hope that you'll participate in some of this, we also recognize that sometimes individuals need an opportunity to decompress and just not be with folks. So, that's also a very valid personal choice if you have a need, want to do that, or sometimes individuals will choose to get together with friends or other members from their church or from their district and have dinner together or do those other kinds of things on Friday evening. Okay, so with having kind of talked through the process and those types of things, I want to turn it over now to Kim Eller, and Kim's going to give you some things that you're just going to want to be aware of that'll make things run more smoothly for you. So Kim, take it away.
Thank you. We're so glad you're going to come and be with us. And if nothing else, you're just going to love being at Junaluska. It's just an awesome place to be in. So if everything else stinks, you ain't going to lose out on anything because the place is gorgeous. So come prepared to have a lot of fun and fellowship and meet new friends that will last a lifetime. But some of the things you need to know ahead of time to be a little more prepared include these items that are listed. Parking is atrocious because there's a scat of people up there with only a half a scat of parking spaces. If you live on the grounds, if you're staying there, usually you have parking facility there and you're set. If you live off the grounds, then that's where the parking can become difficult. But every year, the lake and our conference just works diligently to improve in all of these areas. So there are several places that they designate for parking that you'll clearly see. They have folks there to make sure it's a full parking lot, so you'll know where to go from there. They have golf carts to help you travel back and forth from one of those parking places, and the shuttle buses that can bring you like from Lambeth or down at the apartments where it's a little longer walk. So they try to accommodate us the best we can, but we just encourage you, once you park, don't ever leave that spot until you leave for good to go home. Otherwise, you ain't ever going to get it back. So just be prepared to know that there may be some walking involved. Parking's not going to be the easiest, but they do have accommodations to help make it easier to get you there with the golf carts and the buses. The food was another issue for a lot of time, trying to feed so many people. And again, if you're living, if you're staying with the terrace or on ground in one of the homes or at the Lambeth, you can either, you have your own kitchen, you can bring food to prepare your meals, or the dining facilities are available there in your hotels. It's again, the ones that live off grounds. So the conferences a few years ago just took the initiative, and they bring in a variety of food vendors, trucks that are usually between Stewart and Herald Center. And that's good food. And but we would encourage you to maybe, if you're coming off the grounds, to pack you a little something, pack you some snacks, maybe some water, even maybe, you know, a little sandwich or some fruit. But you can obviously go into Waynesville or to Maggie Valley and dine in any of those wonderful facilities. It's just, you ain't gonna find a parking spot when you get back, probably. So that's why you just need to be prepared. And you'll see the schedule, you'll know how to plan. The conference does a good job, I think, in making sure the dinner breaks, the meal breaks are practical, that give you time to get to wherever you need to get, to be able to eat without shoveling it down and get back for the next event. So they're just very diligent in trying to make it easy for everybody. The attire needs to be comfortable, very comfortable, very comfortable. And of course, we're in the mountains, so it could be very hot. It could rain all of a sudden, or it could be very cool. So just pack accordingly, but just make sure what you have is comfortable, including your shoes, inside buildings and outside, to make sure you may have a jacket or a sweater, and that you're just comfortable sitting and walking. They do a good job of making sure we get plenty of breaks, especially during the sessions. And again, this is another area where they're very creative, and they have brought in some very nice portable potties that are placed outside of Stewart. But there's restrooms at the back of Stewart Auditorium. There's restrooms over in Herald Center. There are restrooms over in the terrace. I think there's restrooms on every floor at the terrace. So there really are some nice accommodations for the restrooms and taking the break. There's a little shop in Herald Center, a little gift shop that has ice cream and coffee, and I think some vending machines if you need stuff like that. But we do get several nice breaks, and to give you a chance to go do what you need to do. Just don't move your car. Just keep that car parked wherever it is. And then the last part with the guest. We hope you'll bring some folks with you, because they will enjoy it also. And they are invited and are welcome to come to any of the events, especially the worship and the activities. They can also come to the business sessions. They just can't vote. So that would be the only thing with your guest. But we love to have guests with us, and we got rocking chairs placed all around and wonderful rose walks, and you can walk around the lake, or if you're really industrious, you can run around the lake, but I'm going to walk. And it's just beautiful scenery. It's quiet, it's serene, but yet it's full of joy and welcome and reunion. And we're glad you're coming. We hope this first experience will not be your last, and that it will be a good one for you, and you will take this wonderful adventure back to your home churches and continue spreading the good news.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim. Just a couple of things as Kim was talking that I thought about as well. So all of the things that we do in Stewart Auditorium are live streamed as well. And in particular, they're closed caption available in the facilities there at Lake Junaluska. And so, for example, there's a very nice lobby area at the terrace, And so sometimes if you have guests, they don't want to be over in the business session or sitting over there. They can watch it from there. You can also watch it from your room if you have a room there at the terrace or at the Lambeth. So there's other ways for folks to engage. Kim, are we doing this? Are they doing the setup with spillover seating at Harold this year or
We
no?
do. Harold 105, there will also be overflow seating.
Okay. The other thing that I forgot to put on the slide, but wanted to make sure I mentioned to you is there is a section in this building you see here in the center. That's called the Harold Center. But there are ministry areas from across the conference that have set up displays. And so they have information about their ministries and other kinds of things that you might find helpful for you at your church. And so we encourage you, as you have an opportunity during one of the breaks, to make your way over to the Harold Center and take a look at the displays that are set up. There's great information over there as well. And then there was, I think it was one other. Oh, Kim's on the attire thing. I will tell you, she said comfortable. That's different things for different folks. Where but it's you're going to see individuals who are choosing to wear, shorts. Some individuals might will choose to wear pants or blue jeans. There is no dress code, in regards to saying, oh, it's a worship service, so I need to dress up. Those kind of things. So the dress style is very informal. So please, feel free to dress in a way that is going to be comfortable, because there are times when Stewart Auditorium is air conditioned, but not the way your home is air conditioned. So it's a big facility. Those things run as much as they can, but depending on what the weather's like, it can sometimes get a little warm and stuffy in there. So, okay, so that's the information that we had for this evening. We wanted to just open the discussion now to see if you have questions about things that we have not talked about. You can feel free to put those into the chat as well. Why don't we start with that? Caroline, is there anything in the chat that you think we should highlight for the good of the group?
Hi, John. You've done such a great job that there haven't been any questions at all.
Okay.
If any.
All right. Well, that's fine too. Just wanted to make sure. Are there any questions from anyone on the call? If you haven't used Zoom, there's a way that there's actions you can take down at the bottom of your screen. One of them is that you can raise your hand. If you want to do that, that'll help us. Caroline's doing it on hers. You see what it looks like there. So
John, I'm doing that because we do have a question in the chat about Wi-Fi in Stewart.
Okay. Thank you. They do have Wi-Fi at Stewart Auditorium and generally also available in other, like at in the terrace and other kinds of locations. We are, as Kim says, we're going to be doing voting using personal devices, and everybody will need to be connected to the Wi-Fi. So in years past, I would tell you it was somewhat a little bit spotty. The lake has upgraded that, and so we're not anticipating anyone having any issues in terms of being able to get connected to the Wi-Fi. Kim Ingram, is there anything else that you would want to add relative to that?
Just to say that we will ask clergy to not use the Wi-Fi while we were doing the elections, because that's how most people will be connected to the internet. And there will be some charging stations if you find that you need them in the middle of a session or at a break.
Great, thank you. Hopefully that addressed the question. Rihanna, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes. You talk to me?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't put my last name on here. Retha Andrew from Myers Park. The celebration that's Thursday afternoon, that's an informal the Hawaiian theme thing for the newly commissioned classes, correct?
Yes, it is. That is for yes, it's very informal. It's in the grassy area out there near Stewart Auditorium. But that is, and so that's that was set up on Thursday. Our clergy will be meeting on Thursday afternoon, and so, but everyone is welcome to come to that and wear your Hawaiian shirt. If you got
And they will be ordained at the Saturday night worship service. Is that correct?
that is correct, right?
Okay. All right.
Now,
Thank you.
during one of the business sessions, there's there's a portion where the bishop, we go through the process of asking the traditional questions of the ordinands, where they all, say that they're not in enough debt to keep them from doing that, but we all know that they had to pay debt to go to college anyway. But so yes, so that takes place during a business session, but the actual worship service and the ordination and the ordering of ministers is in the Saturday evening worship service. Kay, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Okay, I had to unmute. Just a quick question, being that this is my first time at the annual conference. I am an elected delegate lay from St. Mark's United Methodist Church, which is in the Metro District.
Okay.
However, I've been appointed pastor at Burge Memorial United Methodist Church starting in July in the Catawba District. So,
congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. I'll be still representing the Metro District. That's my question.
Yep.
That's kind of
So
okay.
I'm going to say that I'm going to say what I think the answer is, and then Kim, you tell me if I'm wrong. Your appointment doesn't start until July 1st.
Okay,
So
right.
for the purposes of this, you're still a laity representative from the Metro District.
Got it. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Our other question is about how long the Welcome Center is open. And Kim, if memory serves, after it closes in the evening, you're welcome to go and check in at the Terrace Hotel, which is across the street from Stewart Auditorium. So if you find the Welcome Center closed, you can go there. And I believe, Kim, you may help me with this, 5 or 6 o'clock. It's usually open till then.
Yeah, I've been looking on Lake Junaluska's website to see if I could find the answer, and I can't find it on there. Check-in's not till 4, so it has to be, and I think they sometimes extend it for our conference, at least on Thursday and Friday night. So hopefully maybe even a little bit later than 5 or 6. But it's easy to stop by there, see if it's open. If it's not, just drive on around the lake.
It's on your way in.
Susan, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Susan Amico, and I'm a member at First United Methodist Church, Morganton. We're a lighthouse congregation, and we're just getting a lot of great response from people all over the community. But I am one of the nominees for the laity election. So I just thought I'd introduce myself.
Thank you for for being willing to stand for that election, and thanks for joining us this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Caroline, help me make sure I'm not missing anybody's hands.
I don't think you are. I don't see any questions. You've done such a great job.
Yes,
You and Kim have answered all the questions ahead of time.
Well, I am, thank you for that. And again, we're so grateful that you have agreed to serve as a lay member. We hope that you will have a spirit-filled time with us there. And we've talked a lot of information about how you can prepare. And so just as we close this evening, I would just say the thing that we didn't put on the slide, but it certainly is very as important, is as you prepare, please be in prayer. You will see the information that we're praying about, and we've just asked that you would continue to pray that God's Spirit would work in and through us, and that God would give us all wisdom and discernment to make the decisions that are the most effective for us to be able to work together and carry out our mission to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Thank you all again for your time this evening. There are opportunities if you have other questions later. There's ways you can submit questions through the conference website. Kim's team, she has a great team of folks that have been working extremely hard to put this information together, and she herself has as well. And so we stand ready to help you. I hope to see you there, and if you see me, feel free to stop by and say hello. I'd love to get a chance to meet you in person. So with that, we'll tell you good night and good rest, and we look forward to seeing you on the mountain. God bless you.
John,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.